Okay, so this is just a presentation I would have done to other young people who stammer. So this is just a note to my younger self. Let me just share a little bit about me first. So I'm Stephen and I'm from Dublin, but I'm now living in Waterford. I've worked in disability services and I'm now working in youth justice as a youth justice worker. I'm 50 years old, so I am actually getting pretty old. So, and I started stuttering at the age of 5. So, I have been involved in the stuttering community and the Irish Stammering Association for 19 years. And I play keyboards in a band.
Oh, cool.
And I have an Instagram account where I get to talk about everything to do with stuttering, and this is called Stutterverse. Okay, so as you saw me on the screen there previously, it's getting pretty old now, but this is a picture of me when I was younger. So that's me there, just with the blonde hair sitting there in the middle. So, and this is me just a little bit older. So this is when I probably would have been stammering for a couple of years at this time. So, and I was probably at the stage where I was trying to hide my stammer at this stage. So what I need to do is go back in time to send a note to my younger self. So as you can see, I have a fancy time machine here. So I'm going to jump in my time machine and I'm going to bring a note back to my younger self. So let's have a look at what I'm going to write on this note. So I have 4 points on the note here. So let me just read them out to you. So the first one is you are not alone. It's okay to be different. The way you talk has value, not just for you, but for others too. And the very last one is to just be you. So maybe let's just go a little bit more into this now and we'll have a look. Sorry, just having some technical issues here, but let's see if we can move on now. Okay, so let's go a little bit more into this note to my younger self. So the first one is you are not alone. So if you think about it, in the world, there is like 79 million people that stutter in this world. So that's like 1% of the population. And does anybody know how many people in Ireland stutter? Does anybody know?
About 50,000.
Well done, Jonathan. Yeah, there's 50,000 people in Ireland that stutter. So if we think about it, like what was very important to me was like finding the community of others who stuttered. And why was this important to me? It actually helped me to get used to hearing what stuttering sounded like, because when I was younger, it was always hard to kind of hear my own as stuttering, but just to find other people that stuttered and to hear their voices, it actually made it a little bit easier then. So, and it was also easier for me to talk about stuttering to other people who stuttered, because we would have maybe had some similar challenges that we would have faced. So whether that be talking up in class in front of everyone else, and it was just easier for me to talk to other people who was maybe going through the same thing that I was. And I didn't feel the need to just try and be fluent. So when I was around other people who stuttered, it was easier for me to just talk, and that I didn't feel this pressure, that I didn't have to hide my stutter. So it was easier for me to kind of stutter around other people. Like, let's go on to the second point now. See what this says. So it's okay to be different. Now, does anybody know who said this? So you are lucky enough to be different, so never change. Does anybody know? So she's a famous singer. Anyone have any idea?
Lady Gaga.
No, but that's a very good guess anyway. So let's see who it was. It was Taylor Swift.
Tay-Tay!
Taylor Swift said this. So you are lucky enough to be different, so never change. But I think it was kind of hard when I was younger to feel different to everyone else. So like what I would do is I would try and hide my stammer and hide my stutter. So I would maybe put on different masks. So this was it was called masking. So I probably had this fear that I was going to stutter on certain words, so I wouldn't really say what I wanted to say. And that kind of holding back kind of felt like that I wasn't really showing the real me. So it was like I was hiding my stutter, but I was also hiding a part of me also. So, and just by showing my stuttering to people, they got to see all of me then. So maybe if I wanted to tell a funny joke, or maybe if I wanted to tell a story, that I didn't have to hide that because I wasn't trying to hide my stuttering then. So let's go on to the next point. So this is quite an interesting one. So the way you talk has value, not just for you, but for others too. Let me show you a picture of this guy. So this is a guy, his name is Chris Constantino. And he is like Ashlyn, like Jonathan, he's a Penny. He is like a speech and language therapist. But he's also a person who stutters too. So Chris talks about this thing called stutter gain. So we can talk about maybe how stuttering can be difficult, and then we all know that kind of stuttering can be hard at times. But also, like, what can we gain from our stuttering? So our stuttering is different, and it makes us more interesting and memorable for the person that's listening to us. So, because we are just 1% of the population, so kind of not everybody stutters, but actually we do. And if people take the time to listen to us, it can be quite interesting. And when we stutter on words, it says that I take a risk. So when we choose to stutter, that means that we take a risk. So actually, we actually do be quite brave. But it also says that I trust you. So it can really help with the friendships that we have. So if you think about the friends that you have that are your close friends, and you actually stutter in front of your friends, and then that really says to them that I'm taking a risk here, but I actually trust you to listen to me. So it can be really helpful for kind of making friends and to kind of have the close friends that we have. So let's talk about what does the world gain from stuttering. So often when we hear like people maybe tell us to like slow it down, but actually by us being able to show our stuttering, it actually helps. It actually helps us to just to get other people to kind of slow down and pay attention to us, but they can pay attention and to themselves and have a better understanding of themselves by getting to know us. Because us by talking about our stuttering and just by actually stuttering, it can help actually somebody else to understand maybe some challenges that they are facing also. And just the last one is to just be you, because you are really perfect the way that you are. And then if there is something that you want to change in relation to how you stutter, that's okay. You can actually talk to the likes of Penny, you can talk to Jonathan, you can kind of talk to your parents also. So actually you are perfect the way that you are. So my final thoughts is gonna just be you.